In this podcast episode, the discussion centers around President Trump's assertive foreign policy approach, particularly regarding Colombia, as well as his administration's broader strategies in handling immigration and national security. The episode begins with a dramatic account of President Trump's response to Colombian President Gustavo Petro's refusal to accept deportation flights for illegal immigrants from the United States. While Trump was reportedly golfing, he took to Truth Social to express his outrage over Colombia's decision, framing it as a threat to U.S. national security. He announced a series of retaliatory measures, including emergency tariffs on Colombian goods, a travel ban on Colombian officials, and enhanced inspections of Colombian nationals and cargo. This swift and aggressive response led to Colombia quickly capitulating to Trump's demands, agreeing to accept the deported individuals without delay. Shapiro highlights the stark contrast between Trump's decisive action and the more bureaucratic, slow-moving responses typical of previous administrations. He emphasizes that Trump's approach sends a clear message: the U.S. will not tolerate countries that refuse to cooperate in the repatriation of their citizens. The podcast also delves into President Petro's unpopularity in Colombia, noting his socialist leanings and his attempts to consolidate power. Shapiro critiques Petro's rhetoric, which he views as desperate and disconnected from the realities of international relations. Petro's statements, which included references to historical injustices and a refusal to shake hands with white slaveholders, are portrayed as ineffective in the face of Trump's economic leverage. Shapiro transitions to the broader implications of Trump's immigration policies, particularly the focus on national security. He discusses the Biden administration's handling of immigration, contrasting it with Trump's more hardline stance. The podcast features commentary from various political figures, including J.D. Vance, who emphasizes the importance of vetting immigrants and the dangers posed by unvetted individuals entering the U.S. Shapiro argues that the current immigration system is flawed and that the U.S. should prioritize the safety and security of its citizens. The conversation also touches on the Catholic Church's stance on immigration, with Shapiro criticizing the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops for its pro-immigration policies. He argues that while the Church has a moral obligation to help those in need, it should not undermine U.S. laws or contribute to illegal immigration. This point is underscored by Vance's remarks about the Church's complicity in harboring illegal immigrants, which he views as a significant issue. As the podcast progresses, Shapiro discusses Trump's domestic policy initiatives, particularly his efforts to dismantle the bureaucratic structures that hinder effective governance. He highlights Trump's recent actions to fire inspectors general across various federal agencies, arguing that these positions often serve to obstruct rather than facilitate the president's agenda. Shapiro defends Trump's decision to remove these officials, framing it as a necessary step to restore executive authority and accountability. The episode also covers the new appointments within Trump's administration, including the confirmation of Pete Heg as Secretary of Defense. Shapiro expresses optimism about Heg's commitment to a peace through strength doctrine and his focus on modernizing the U.S. military. The discussion emphasizes the importance of a strong national defense and the need to prioritize American interests in foreign policy. Shapiro critiques the so-called deep state, highlighting how career bureaucrats within the government often work against the interests of the elected administration. He points to recent controversies, such as the removal of educational materials related to the Tuskegee Airmen, as examples of malicious compliance by federal employees seeking to undermine Trump's directives. This theme of resistance within the government is a recurring point in the podcast, illustrating the challenges faced by Trump and his team in implementing their policies.